What's going on, everybody? Here we are back with our Week 11 NFL Pick'em video. We are 101 and 47 so far this season, going 9 and 5 last week. Looking into this week, we got a ton of fun games incoming. We got a lot of big games, potential playoff previews. It's going to be a tough week to predict, maybe the hardest yet. But we're really excited to get into it, really excited to watch these games on Sunday, and we're definitely going to get them right. So if you're new to the channel, we've been doing really good. Tag along and don't fade the picks. Starting off with our Thursday night game. This is coming out on Saturday, so obviously too late to change your pick for the Thursday night video, but I'm sure everyone picked the Patriots. I did as well. They looked really good. Travion Henderson with a 3-touchdown game got himself a hat trick. Patriots are on an absolute heater right now. We've been riding with them for a long time, so glad we got that pick right on Thursday. Let's jump into the remainder of the games this week. So starting off with our last international game of the season, we got the Commanders at the Dolphins in Madrid. Starting off with the Commanders, Jaden Daniels obviously still out. Terry McLaurin will also still be out in this one. And with those guys out, they've leaned a lot on the run. Mariota's been a really good asset in the run game for the Commanders, as well as kind of a committee backfield led by JCM. So they've really led on the run, led with the run game for the Commanders. For the Dolphins, however, on the defensive side of the ball, something really interesting is in the first 5 weeks, they were the worst graded run defense in the NFL. Now, in weeks 6 through 10, the last 5 weeks, they have been the number 1 graded run defense in the NFL. And they've got a ton of talent on that D-line, so it was a little strange that they weren't coming together in that first 5 weeks of the season, but they've been doing really well over the last 5. For the Dolphins offense, you never know what you're going to get. Tua Tagovailoa is the most inconsistent quarterback in the NFL, but this offense runs through Devon Achane. And they love to get outside the tackles. They love to get those guys with speed, Waddle, Achane, out in space. And that's going to be a difficult thing for the Commanders to handle in this one. The Commanders have really struggled, especially against the run, and especially outside the tackles. They've got a couple great linebackers with Bobby Wagner and Frankie Louvu, but those guys are much more downhill between the tackles linebackers. Neither one of them are super quick. They struggle to get outside and make tackles. And an important thing to note for the Commanders' defense is Dan Quinn is taking back over as the defensive play caller, kind of the interim defensive coordinator, if you will. And I think it's going to be a little bit difficult for the Commanders on defense to keep up with the Dolphins' speed. I think Dan Quinn's going to have some better things in line for them, going to be able to get this defense right a little bit in this one. Now, it's really, really hard to pick the Dolphins because you never know what you're going to get. They go out and beat the Bills, and then they get smoked by a bad team. But we're picking the Dolphins to get the win in Spain. Next up, we got the Bears at the Vikings. And, we've been saying it all season, the Vikings' struggles have been with the quarterback position. They have to be kicking themselves letting Sam Darnold go this offseason. He's been amazing in Seattle. We'll talk about him in a little bit more. But with J.J. McCarthy being behind the helm, he's just really struggled to find much consistency at all. I think a lot of that has to do with the offensive line, but even when he has time, he's still not processing well. He's missing targets. So their offense hasn't been real good this season, and it's largely to do with quarterback play. You'd think with Justin Jefferson, Hockenson, Addison, Aaron Jones, Jordan Mason, that they have enough weapons to have a good offense, but the offensive line's been banged up. Quarterbacks have not been playing well for the Vikings, and their defense has done pretty good so far this season, but it's still not quite the Vikings defense that I think we've all known and come to expect over the last couple of years. They've been beatable in the run game so far this season. For the Bears, their defense is very beatable. We've seen it many, many times this season, so I think the Vikings could have some offensive success, but I think where the Vikings are really going to struggle in this one is keeping up with that Bears offense. When the Bears have run the ball well, they've taken the ball out of Caleb Williams' hands on every single play. Like he can still throw the ball, but they can't rely on him to throw it every play and let teams just drop into pass defense. So when the Bears have run the ball, they've had a lot of success, and I think they could have success running the ball in this one. as well as Caleb Williams has been really successful over the last few weeks. He's looking better and better. I think Ben Johnson has this offense going in the right direction. So we're picking the Bears to get the road upset in the divisional matchup against the Vikings. Next up, we got the Buccaneers at the Bills. Both these teams coming off tough losses. Bucs to the Patriots. They got upset by the Patriots. We got that one right last week. And I don't think anybody guessed that the Bills would lose to the Dolphins. Now, we did say that game could be close simply because of how they played earlier in the season. But anyways, both these teams coming off losses. Let's start off with the Bucs offense. And Baker Mayfield has not been having the same kind of MVP season that he had last year. A lot of that has to do similarly to the Vikings, just with the injuries up front, as well as some injuries to the Bucs weapons. Obviously, we have no Mike Evans. Chris Godwin's been on and off the field as he continues to recover from that injury from last season. So it's been a lot of just Igbuka. Bucky Irving is also out and won't be playing on Sunday. It looks like he will probably be back next week, but still out again in this one. And it's just difficult to see the Buccaneers keeping up with a Bills offense that, other than last week, has been pretty hot. Bills have some struggles on defense, specifically against the pass, but I just think the Bills are a better football team. Their offense is healthier. It's humming better than the Bucs offense is right now. And I think the Bills do have an edge on defense as well, specifically against the run, which is going to allow them to drop into pass coverage and just defend the Buccaneers pass game a little bit heavier than they focus on the run. So we're picking the Bills to get the win at home on this one. Now, going over to my Green Bay Packers, and yes, we are rocking the Brock Bowers jersey this week. He's a beast. He's fun to watch. Love the jersey games. We got Bowers on this week. But I am a huge Packers fan, and it's been hard to be a Packers fan over these last few weeks. Coming off the tough Monday night loss to the Eagles. I don't even want to talk about it. I hate the Eagles. Ton of controversial calls there. Don't get me started on the tush push. I know the Packers got away with one themselves, but anyways, going into this game, the Giants have fired Brian Dable, and as well, Jackson Dart is out this week with a concussion. So we're going to be seeing Jameis Winston and the new interim head coach and what they can do with this Giants offense. Giants defense has still been pretty solid, especially up front. They're good against the run. They're able to generate some pressure with those edge rushers as well. So I think the Giants have a little something going for them, but they might have some struggles on offense this week as they're being led by Jameis Winston, Wan'Dale Robinson, and Tyrone Tracy. Going over to the Packers, offensive struggles have been the name of the game for the Packers. In all of the games that they've lost, the defense has performed really well, and the offense has struggled. I can't help but think about if Aaron Rodgers had this defense, how many Super Bowls he would have won, and they probably, wouldn't have been able to afford this defense because they had a lot more money in offense and on the offensive line, and I think that's where the Packers' offensive struggles are really stemming from, is from the offensive line. Now, the Packers have had some tough injuries. Last week, there was no Matthew Golden, obviously no Tucker Kraft for the remainder of the season with that torn ACL, and as well as Jaden Reed has been out for quite a few weeks after breaking his collarbone early in the season. In this one, I just expect the Packers get right. I'm not sure that they're going to win by 10-plus points. This is a game that they should. Going up against Jameis Winston, a new head coach, a team that is just not very good. This is a game that the Packers need to go out and dominate. I'm not sure that they do simply because they're not playing that hot, but I am confident that the Packers win this one. Next up, we got the Panthers at the Atlanta Falcons. And the last time these two teams played, the Panthers won 30-0. Now, I don't think this game is going to be that one-sided. However, I will just say it is really difficult for a team like the Falcons to lose by 30 to a team, get shut out, then come back to win the following game. I'll get into my selection for the pick in this one in just a second. But starting off with the Panthers offense, they're very, very limited with Bryce Young under center. He struggles big time to throw the ball downfield. And this offense is ride or die on Rico Dowdle. It's looked pretty good following him, but I think teams are going to just start stacking the box more, start playing a lot more one high safety, two high safety, and really force Bryce Young to throw the ball downfield to beat them. Going over to the Falcons, their pass defense has been really good, specifically because of that pass rush. We haven't had a Falcons pass rush in years, and now it's one of the best in the league so far this season. So I do think they could generate some pressure in this one, make things difficult for Bryce Young. But where I think the Falcons struggle in this one is with their offense. Michael Penix has been really inconsistent. He's been very inaccurate, and he hasn't seemed to develop much of a connection with any of his receivers other than Drake London. The Panthers have J.C. Horn on defense. I expect him to be matched up against Drake London in this one, and I'm just thinking that the Falcons are going to struggle offensively. Panthers are going to be able to do just enough with ball control, running the football to be able to get the win in this one. And it's just hard to overcome a team that you lost by 30 to last time. So we're picking the Panthers to get the road upset in this one. Next up, we got the Texans at the Titans. And the real storyline here is the offensive line struggles for Tennessee. The quarterback struggles. Cam Ward has not had any chance back there. The weapons aren't playing well for him. He doesn't really have a whole lot to begin with, and the offensive line is terrible. Texans have one of the best defenses in the league, led by that edge rushing duo of Danielle Hunter and Will Anderson, and they are going to cause an absolute fit for this Titans team on Sunday. Davis Mills is still in at quarterback. We said it last week. He's going to be able to do just enough to get the win against the Jaguars, and he's going to be able to do enough to get the win against the Titans. He might only need to score 10 points to get the win this week, but he will definitely do enough for the Texans to beat the Titans. Next up, we got the Bengals at the Steelers, and this is going to be a really fun one to watch. In this one, last time, the Bengals with Joe Flacco were able to beat the Steelers. Now they're going to Pittsburgh. It's a tough place to play. The pressure is on for Pittsburgh as the Ravens have kind of been resurgencing over the last few weeks. So Pittsburgh has to be feeling a little bit of the pressure that this is almost kind of a must-win game for them to stay on top of the division. And the news for the Bengals is that Joe Burrow is back and practicing. And honestly, I'm not so sure I love that decision. If they lose this game on Sunday, they're not out of playoff contention, but it starts to become almost must-win every single week. And that's just a tough injury to recover from. And there can be a lot of lasting effects. So I just worry that the Bengals, they haven't seemed to consider Joe Burrow's health whatsoever throughout his career. I don't know if they're considering it now. And I worry about his health going forward if they decide to play him. Anyways, going into this game, Joe Flacco and that Bengals offense has been on an absolute heater. They've scored 37.7 points over the last 3 weeks. He's really doing good with this team. I don't think that you need to make a change there. I think he's doing really solid. Now, Joe Burrow is much better, but Flacco is balling right now. So there's no reason to hurry Joe Burrow back from that injury. But the tough thing for the Bengals is this defense, where they've only allowed less than 27 points in one game this season. So they effectively have to put up 30 plus every single week just to have a chance. Now they're going up against a Steelers team where their defense has been playing much better, especially that front seven, that pass rush, and the Bengals offensive line has had a lot of struggles. So I worry about their ability to protect Flacco in this one. He's been getting the ball out quick, and he's definitely going to need to do that on Sunday. And for the Steelers on offense, we know what we're getting with them. They're not that explosive. They're not that great. DK Metcalf and Jalen Warren are really the only weapons on offense. They've been using those tight ends a lot more. Freiermuth, Darnell Washington. So I think that the Steelers, I'm not super confident in their offense, but they're going up against just a terrible defense in this one. So we're picking the Steelers to come back and beat the Bengals in the second game of the season here. Going to split the series in this one. Next up, we got the Chargers at the Jaguars. And the Chargers coming off that dominant win over the Steelers. I did pick the Steelers to get that upset last week. We were wrong about that one. It was really tough. We would have gone 3 for 3 on our upsets last week. But anyways, Chargers are playing really well. And I think that they're definitely a team to beat in the AFC right now. For the Jags, they're just lacking the weapons on offense. Trevor Lawrence, we know what we're getting with Lawrence. We've seen it all his career. He's not the same guy that we expected him to be coming out of Clemson, and especially with no Travis Hunter for the rest of the season. Brian Thomas Jr. still being out, I just think the Jags will struggle a little bit throwing the football. Now, they've run the ball pretty efficiently so far this season, but they're going up against a Chargers defense that's been pretty dang good against the run when Denzel Perriman and Khalil Mack have been out there, and both those guys will be there on Sunday. Now, this Jags defense, I think, is not nearly as good as we thought at the beginning of the season. All year long, including the beginning of the season when they were doing well, they've given up a pile of air yards, and they created turnovers early in the year that kind of made this defense look better than it was. And they're going up against a Chargers team that has a really, really solid offense. Justin Herbert is playing great football. They have a pile of weapons. So we're picking the Chargers to get the road win over the Jags. Next up, we got the Seahawks at the Rams. And despite us having a ton of really, really fun games this week, this is my game of the week. These are two teams in the NFC West. They're fighting for the division. They're fighting for potentially the number one overall seed in the NFC. And starting off with the Seattle offense, JSN and the Sam Darnold connection has been unstoppable this season. They're looking really, really good. This is the first time in a long time where we've seen Kenneth Walker healthy for the whole season. And I think a lot of that has to do with the fact that he's playing 45% of the snaps, and Charbonnet is getting, that other 55%. And Kenneth Walker is the better back. They know that, but they're really trying to keep him healthy. We could maybe see him pick up some snaps in the playoffs or late in the year if they're really trying to push for that 1 seed. But this Seattle offense has been really, really solid. Now, Seattle's defense has also been pretty dang good. An interesting thing for them is they've been playing a ton of dime and nickel on defense, using Nick Emanwari as kind of like a third linebacker in the nickel or the dime, but he's really a safety, so it helps them against the run, but it also makes their pass defense really solid, and it's been great all year. Now they're going up against a Rams team that's run a ton of 12 personnel on offense, 2 tight ends. Now I'm curious to see if Seattle makes any adjustments this week, if they decide to play, more 3-4 with Emanwari as a linebacker, or even 4-3 going up against this 12. But I honestly don't think Seattle should change anything. I think they can still play nickel against this team and defend the run pretty well, because their defensive line's also done pretty good so far this season. But the Rams' offense is just on a tear. Matthew Stafford is the first quarterback ever with 4 touchdowns and 0 interceptions in 3 games. Now, jumping over to the Rams side of the defense, the one big strength that I think they have over this Seattle team is the Rams' D-line. It is really good, and Seattle has struggled a little bit with their interior offensive line. Now, if there's any edge that I can give in this game, it's going to be the home edge and that little bit of an edge with the defensive line for the Rams. So we're picking the Rams to beat Seattle in what I think could be a very fun and potentially very high-scoring game. Next up, we got the 49ers at the Cardinals. And the 49ers, starting off with their run game, they've been running the ball much, much better the last couple of weeks, especially between the tackles. Brock Purdy is coming back this week. Ricky Pearsall's back. Juwan Jennings is back. Kittle's been back for a couple weeks. They're still waiting on Ayuk, but this team is much, much healthier. And now the 49ers defense has definitely had its struggles, but, they're going up against a Cardinals team that's really, really struggled offensively. Now, Jacoby Brissett is still in at quarterback for the Cardinals, and I think that's the right decision. He might be better than Kyler Murray. He sure has played like it so far this season. But what's important to note for the Cardinals is no Marvin Harrison Jr. this season. So through the air, they're just really, really going to be relying on Trey McBride. Now, the 49ers have struggled to cover tight ends and running backs in the past game, so I could see Trey McBride having a big game here, but ultimately I just think the 49ers are on both sides of the football, the better football team, so they're going to get the win in this one. Next up, we got a very exciting matchup between the Chiefs going on the road to play the Broncos. Chiefs are coming off a bye week. They lost to the Bills 2 weeks ago. So they've had an extra week of preparation. That really does mean a lot in the NFL. An extra week to heal up, extra week to prepare. No Isaiah Pacheco in this one, so they're going to be led by Kareem Hunt again in the backfield. Might see a little bit more Brashard Smith. I think that would be great because he probably is the most explosive back. He's definitely going to be in on third downs as he was a receiver in college, so he's definitely got some better pass catching abilities than Kareem Hunt. But this team for the Chiefs has been playing really, really well. Other than that loss to the Bills, they didn't play that bad, but they just didn't look quite as good as they had the few weeks before that. For the Broncos, they're coming off another close win. They're 8-2 on the season, but it hasn't been all that pretty. There's no pictures on the scorecard, so these guys are 8-2. You can't deny that. You can't take it away from them. But I do worry how they're going to fare against better teams like the Chiefs if they're playing close games against teams like the Raiders. Now, in this one, what worries me for the Broncos is the Bo Nix inconsistencies. If you've been watching the videos, I've said it every single week. It's what holds the Broncos back. They have a fantastic defense, but in this one, Bo Nix and that Broncos offense is going up against a Chiefs team that has a really good pass defense. So I'm just worried about how the Broncos offense is going to look in this one. I think the Chiefs are going to have enough offensive success to outpace Bo Nix and that Broncos O. So we're picking the Chiefs to get the road divisional win in this one. Next up, we got the Ravens at the Browns. Ravens are on a 3-game win streak, and they're 2-0 since I said that they're going to win the division. So I don't know if I'm their good luck charm or if it's Lamar Jackson just coming back. Probably Lamar, but I'd like to take a little credit myself. And this team's just playing much better on both sides of the football. Kyle Hamilton is playing Defensive Player of the Year type football, and he's being used a lot in really cool ways. Similarly to what I said about Seattle and Nick Eamon-Worry, they've rolled him down into the box, so playing a lot harder against the run. He's been rushing the passer quite a bit, and this Ravens team just looks much, much better, and they're going up against a Browns team that just sucks. Plain and simple, they just suck. The only thing that they can do is play defense and run the ball moderately well, and that's just not going to be enough to beat the Ravens. So we're riding with the Baltimore Ravens to get their 4th win in a row. Now we got a really exciting matchup in this one. The Lions at the Eagles. This is what we all thought we were going to see in the NFC Championship last year. It's what we could see this year. You never know. These are two teams at the top of the NFC. And let me just say this. The Eagles get blessed by the NFL schedule every single year. They play in a terrible division. You can't change that. But they go get the Packers coming off a bye, which is arguably one of their toughest games of the season. And then they get the Lions at home the following week. So it's like these scheduled games are hard for them with the Lions, the Packers, a couple other teams that they have to play, but they're coming at just the perfect time for the Eagles, and I can't help but think that the NFL just loves them. They want to see them back in the Super Bowl. They probably want another Chiefs-Eagles rematch because that's the NFL. They'll script it if they can. Not to get off on too much of a tangent, if you couldn't tell, I hate the Eagles. I dislike them more than any team in the NFC North as a Packers fan. I think that says a lot, as we have some big rivalries with the Bears and the Vikings. In this game, though, I am worried about the Eagles' ability to run the football against the Lions' defense that's been playing pretty dang good. Eagles' offense is not that great. Jalen Hurts is very limited in what he can do, especially just as a pocket passer. And they're going up against a Lions' offense that is on fire. They did lose to the Vikings, but this Lions offense is really, really good, and they are going to get the upset against the Eagles. Now, if you've watched any of my past videos, I have a strict rule. Pick Vegas favorites when they're the public underdog. Now, in this one, the Eagles are Vegas favorites and a tiny, tiny bit of a public underdog. I think they're selected like 46% of the time. So in this one, it's basically an even split between the public. So I'm not necessarily abiding by that rule here because it's pretty much a coin flip by the public. So we're picking the Lions because they are the team that is going to win on Sunday. Now, going on to Monday Night Football, we got the Cowboys at the Raiders. And in this one, I feel like this is just a game of a ton of weaknesses going up against each other. The Raiders' offense has really struggled with Geno Smith. The Cowboys' defense has been really, really bad. Now, the Cowboys' offensive line has been really, really bad, and the Raiders' pass rush has been really bad. Max Crosby is the only guy who can do anything, and if that's the case, you can just double him and chip him on every single play. So I'm curious to see from those weaknesses which team stands out and makes some adjustments and plays better in this one. In this game, I just think Dak Prescott is the X factor. I think him and CeeDee Lamb are the best players on the field. I just don't trust this Raiders offense or defense. Now, the Cowboys might give up 25, 30 points to a crap offense in this one, but I think they're going to be able to outscore the Raiders offense. So we're picking the Cowboys to get the road win in Las Vegas on Monday Night Football. Anyways, there's the picks for the week. I hope you all enjoyed. If you've made it this far, I love you. I appreciate you. Thank you very much. Hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, tag along for the rest of the season, and don't fade the pick.